Good morning, everyone. This is George Pasadakis from Apex Technology Management. We are very excited to have you on the call with us today. And in what is our first of at least 12 months of productivity webinars. We're going to have one every month. And we are putting these out there to help you and your staff with common applications and just getting more productivity out of your technology. Today, we're going to be talking about Microsoft Outlook, something that most everybody uses in a business environment. I know from experience and working with a lot of users, people kind of use the features they had when they first started using it, and Microsoft has been steadily developing it, lots of new usability features and tips that should help you and your staff be more productive using Microsoft Outlook. Today we're going to be using Microsoft Outlook 2016, which is the current version. If you're on an earlier version, you may or may not have some of the features that you'll see here today. Of course, if you need or have questions on upgrading, our staff can definitely help you out with that. And we also have Office 365, where if you have a business premium subscription, you will automatically get new updates to Outlook and the other Office suite of applications as Microsoft releases them every month. Today, we're going to just talk real quick about Apex. Go ahead to the next slide, Jared. I have two quick slides here in case you don't know about Apex yet. We have a lot of clients on the call, I see, and a lot of non-clients. So Apex is a managed services IT provider, so we have lots of different things we can help the small and medium business. We'll get to on the next slide. We've been in business for over 25 years, since 1991. We have clients throughout California and in several other states. Our staff has lots of certifications. As you can see, some of the different vendors at the bottom. That's one of the key things that we do, is keep them educated on the latest technology so they can provide the best systems and support for our clients. We have 30 employees currently. We're actually recruiting for 4 more. So if you know any good IT talent, definitely send them our way or send them to our webpage. And we're very proud that the MSP Mentor organization that tracks all the managed services providers globally rated us number 258 on their top 501 list globally. So that was a real honor for Apex. Real quick, the types of things that Apex can help your organization. Number one is managed services. So in the small and medium business environment, small government organization, you may have 1 or 2 IT people or none, and we can operate in either space. If you have an IT staff, we can help them out in certain areas where they may be struggling, may not have time to take care of projects or monitoring and patching all of your systems. There's different ways that we can help. If you have no IT staff, we are your IT department, so we can handle all the things that you would need from a security standpoint, making sure all of your systems are patched. You've heard about the latest crack vulnerability with the Wi-Fi security. We're already on top of that for our clients and keep a good eye on anything that's going on out there. We also have end user support. We have a fully staffed help desk here in California. Your staff or yourself can call in directly. We can remote onto your machine, your workstation or server, and take care of any issue that comes up, walk you through some of the Outlook features, those kinds of things as well. We also have a team, professional services team that does consulting and project services. They're very busy doing IT assessments for organizations to kind of compare where they're at currently versus industry best practices. If your team needs help deploying particular projects, new servers, upgrades, new technology, we can help in that area as well. And of course, we offer a full suite of cloud services, including offsite backups, Office 365, and a lot of vertical market applications as well. Okay, now we're going to get right on to today's topic, which is Insider Secrets to Microsoft Outlook. Today we have helping us out Jared Marino. He's a fantastic trainer. We've used him if you came to our Innovation Day event back in February of this year. He was the one working through the Microsoft Surface devices with us and had a lot of great tips. Even our own team here appreciated. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jared, and he's going to jump right in for the topic today. Jared.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you for all of you for attending. My name is Jared again. here with Apex. Happy to be here and to take you through Outlook 2016. Before we dive into it, a little bit of housekeeping. You should notice a Q&A button as a part of your interface. If you have questions at any time as we're going through, we have our team here who's able to answer those questions on the fly. And then we'll also pause at the end to go through those questions and answer them out loud. So it is interactive, and so if you have anything you'd like to say, any questions, comments, repressed childhood emotions, any of those things, feel free to write them into that Q&A box. I'm going to go ahead and we'll end this slideshow for now, and then I will get sharing my screen. Looks good. All right. You find me here at my desktop going about my day. And I noticed that there is an Outlook appointment waiting for me, the one that I am in right now. That means we need to open the amazing program all of us are a slave to in our lives, Outlook. There's some really great new tools that Microsoft has made into the new Outlook program. And so I want to take you on a quick journey through some of the lesser known things, or some things that you maybe did know about, but didn't know how all of it's possible and all the different things that it can do. All right, so one of the first things I want to go through is some of the redone interface in the way that it's been used. If you've used Outlook recently, you may be familiar with a feature called Conversation View, but not everyone is. I'm currently showing Conversation View, and you can see here Contoso's 4th annual hiking trip is a really hot topic of conversation. I know this because I see there's 6 emails inside of it. Before this feature existed, conversations looked like this. And if your inbox looks like this, you'll know what I'm talking about. Here's an email coming in from Eric, and then an unrelated email, and then another one about the hiking trip, and then some other unrelated emails, and then another one about the hiking trip. This can be turned on by pressing right here where it says all and selecting show as conversations. Now Outlook is going to ask, do you want to do this for everything or just this one folder? So you do have that option. So I'll select all mailboxes because I like it everywhere. And now you can see what it's done is it's given me the full history of this conversation. Now this is going to show me incoming emails first. But if I click this little symbol, you see this little drop down here? That actually expands it. So now I can see even more of the conversation. The reason these were hidden is because they were contained within Amy right here. She sent an email. All of hers were handled underneath. So then these were nicely hidden. So I didn't have a whole bunch of duplicitous emails coming in all in one view. Now, if I really don't care about the hiking trip at all, and I don't want to hear about it, I don't want any more emails to come into my inbox about it, I am not a hiking fan, I could go down here and we have a feature called Ignore. So when I right click on that email thread, I could select Ignore, and what that's going to do is as those emails in this thread come in, they will simply be removed from my view. I won't even receive them anymore because I'm ignoring it. Definitely don't do this on emails from your boss, but this is really good way to clear your view and kind of get things out of the way. All right. Now, a couple other notes around managing email. There's another new feature as a part of Outlook that I'm a very, very big fan of. It looks like Carlos has sent us an email, wants an update on how things are going. So I'll simply press reply. We're familiar with this. Now, if you wanted to attach something, how would you normally do it? You would search through all the folders on your computer in order to find the file that you'd like to attach. Well, what if you've just recently opened something? And so if I go, let me see here, I'm going to open up just some document that I have. Let me see. Here we go, the employees and budget Excel file. I'm going to open this up. Here we go. And here, I'll pull it into my screen so you can see. Okay, so I'm just working away, going about my business. And then I see, oh my goodness, John has spent way too much money on events lately. This is out of control. I need to send this to a colleague of mine. So I'll close Excel. I didn't really do anything with Excel, but right here, I need to let Carlos know. So I'm going to say, John's expenses are out of control. See attached. And then I'll press send. Notice I didn't attach something. I forgot, but that's okay. Outlook has my back. Notice it says you may have forgotten to attach a file. This is a new feature of the new Outlook. So right now it gives me the option to send it anyway, but I definitely don't. I do want to attach that document, so I'll push don't send. Okay, so now I want to go find and attach that file. Well, normally I'd have to search through my entire computer to find it, but not anymore. So take a look. See here it says attach file. I'm going to click this. And now here is every single thing that I have used lately. You can see I've been working on a lot of different Microsoft related projects, but up at the very most recent thing in the list, you'll see that employees and budget Excel spreadsheet. This is because Outlook in the new Office understands when I open different files. It uses the recently accessed files in Windows 10 in order to show me a nice, easy way to attach something. So here's employees and budget. I can see with this cloud that this is a file that is stored on my OneDrive. So when I click it, in the new Outlook, we are given an option. Do you want to share a link, something that you can revoke the permissions later, it doesn't go to their computer and you retain control over it? Or do you want to attach it as a copy? And that will, of course, attach a file size, whatever your file size is, it attaches it to the email and sends it off to Carlos. Now, because Carlos and I are part of the same team, I'm going to simply send him a link to this on SharePoint. And so right here is Outlook letting me know and bragging about what it can do. Thank you. This is a cloud attachment. So that means that when he opens it and if I open it, we're opening it from the same location and we can collaborate and work together on it at the same time. Okay. Now notice how this doesn't look like a link. I didn't paste some really ugly link into the body of my email. I just simply attached it, and Outlook 2016 recognizes these cloud-based links as actual attachments. So when Carlos receives it, if he's using the same version I am, he's going to be able to also see it right here under the attached heading. Now, if Carlos is using an older version of Outlook, he'll receive a link, and it'll be put at the top of the email. Just written in the body. So even if I'm sending this to someone who's using older tech or hasn't quite updated yet, I still have access to this feature and can use it and send these things. All right, now this is ready to go. I can include other people on here if I'd like. And notice when I click, it shows me my people who I've recently engaged with and recently interacted with. Outlook will, of course, auto-populate as you start typing the name of the people. But if I wanted to look at Carlos, I hover over him and notice how it gives me his picture, customer call center manager, and I can see even more details. This is his contact card. Again, what I did to get here was just simply hover over it, and now Outlook brings me his contact card. When I press that little drop-down symbol, I can see all of his information, who he reports to in the organization, and who he, what groups he is a member of. So he's a member of all employees and all of these others, all of it in a kind of a nice, easy interface. And then I can see all of my different ways in order to contact him. I can also add him to my Outlook contacts from here. It will generate this for external users as well with whatever information is available. And of course, if your Office 365 is federated with other organizations or other companies, I can pull in that information as well. All right, so this is good to send. I'll go ahead and send that off. Great. Now that email's sent, of course, I have my little symbol that lets me know that it's sent. Now, notice I'm here in my inbox. I'm going to press this little caret symbol here for that conversation view. And notice it shows me, Karen, I've been told I'm a natural Karen, it shows me replying right here to that email. And notice instead of the date, it actually says sent items, because that is the folder that my sent email lives in. But here from my Outlook, from my inbox, I have this really nice kind of beautiful dashboard with all of this information. So I don't need to go hunting in my sent items to see my sent email. I just come over here, and then there is my email that I just sent, including the attachment. I also have options for the attachment. This is stored in OneDrive, so with one click, it'll open up the OneDrive location so I can see it online. There we go. Perfect. Okay, now, you do have your different folders, and we're used to using folders. We've had a good deal of them in our lives, I'm sure. But we do have this new feature, and it's called search folders. Now, I use this quite frequently. When you have a really large inbox or an inbox that's being managed by a team, this is especially useful. So let's say, you know what, inside of here, I'm going to create a search for Contoso. Okay, so here's all the emails in my inbox that contain the word Contoso. So while I'm searching, notice Outlook automatically customizes its interface, and it says Search Tools, and there's a Search tab. So I can further refine my search. If I don't necessarily want it to say Contoso, or I want it to be from a certain person or a subject, I can get very fine-tuned with how I'm searching. Now, this happens on the fly. You do this all the time. But why this is really, really quite great is that from here, I can create a search folder, and that will put it right here, and it'll always update. So as new emails come in that say, Contoso or have Contoso written in it, I can click on my search folder in order to very easily see every single email that contains that search. And so that is one of the options that I have. I also have my history of recent searches. All of that available right from here. All right, now, let me see. I'm trying to remember folder. There we go. So how I do that, I just select new search folder, and that's right here under the folder tab. And so when I do that, I then put in my search parameters. So I can create a custom search folder, have it search by a category or a title, or what have you. And then that is how I can put it right over here. So just another nice little feature that Microsoft had thought up to help make it easy. Now you'll notice I have up here two things that may be unfamiliar to you, focused and other. This is a feature of Office 365 actually, and it can be enabled at the organization level. It has a very powerful algorithm that's able to separate what is focused email, someone asking me directly for something, and what is other, what is something that's like a newsletter or something I don't necessarily want to focus on all the time. And it goes ahead and separates those for me automatically, which is really, really useful, especially if you get a lot of junk mail that's not junk. It's kind of a new phenomenon, but you have, your Amazon order confirmation telling you that your shipment is arriving in 2 days. Okay, well that's great in that exact moment that I needed that information, but the second that that information is no longer needed, I don't need this. Or let's say, you know what, 2 days go by, I didn't check my email, and now this email is irrelevant. So all of those things are stored instantly in this other section. This isn't a separate inbox or folder, it's actually just still part of the inbox folder. It's just a way to organize my current view. So it makes it quite helpful and quite useful. Okay, now I do want to tell you a little bit more about signatures and applying a signature. So how I usually like to get to signatures, there's two ways to do it. If I'm drafting up a new email and then I press signature, notice I have none currently, but I have this signatures ... and that will take me straight to the place where I can customize my signature. Alternatively, I can go File, and then Options, and then Mail, right here, and then you have signatures. You also have stationery and fonts. Now, stationery, you think, oh goodness, well, that sounds tacky, and I would not use that on a computer. But ignore that. This is actually where you just customize your font. So if you prefer a different font type, font size, that can become your new standard. So I've selected Sego UI instead of Calibri as my default font because it's like a Microsoft font and it's pretty and I like it. But you can customize it to be whatever you'd like. And so all of that is nice and available. But here, I'll go ahead and press signatures. And now this is giving me the option to add in a brand new signature. And I can, of course, type it in. So I'm going to call this one Let's just say co-branded. There we go. Now it allows me to just input a signature. Now, if you're like me, you're basically just going to go, okay, ta-da, I'm done. But some people like to have, you know, a little bit more fancy signatures with pictures. Now, this feature in Outlook is still a little bit finicky. I'm not going to lie, but you do have the ability to put in pictures. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull up one of my signatures that I use very often. Now, I've actually stored it in a Word document first because it's how I like to kind of get things going first, because it's a nice formatting system. I have it in a table. That's how I recommend using your signature. So if I go in Word over here to Table Tools and Layout, I can turn on grid lines. So that's how I can see where everything is lined up and kind of craft the way I want the signature to be formatted when I put it back into Outlook. It looks all good to me, so I'll go ahead and select the table and just Control-C, copy it right out of Word. I recommend copying it out of Word because copying it out of an Outlook email can sometimes degrade the quality of the images. So now I'm going to come back into my signature creation area, and I've have my text field, it's blinking. I'm just going to paste and nothing else. Now notice one of the pictures is missing. Ignore it. It's actually there. I know this makes perfect sense, doesn't it? But it is. So I'm going to go, new messages. I want to use my new signature. Same thing for replies. I want to use it. So here I can choose which email account and which signature do you want to use for that email account. So you can really fine tune how it works. Okay, so I'm just going to press OK. All right, all is well. I'm going to come back over to my blank email and go to signature. There's the new signature that I've created, and I simply insert it. And there you see the picture was retained, everything structured how I like, and now I'm ready to craft my thesis right here inside of this Outlook email and send it all away. Okay, I'll go ahead and close out this blank one. I do notice we have some questions coming in. I'll pause in a moment and we can kind of review them all together. So don't worry, I see you. Okay, moving right along, let's talk about calendars. What you live and die by, and every single day it kind of rules your life if you're like me. This is, of course, my example Outlook calendar. I have a couple of different views. You're used to interacting with the calendar. So I want to show you a couple of things that you maybe aren't as familiar with. First, the ability to instantaneously create a Skype meeting, or if you use another solution, they integrate as well. Outlook allows add-ins. So Skype meeting is another example of that. So if I wanted to create a new one right now, I can. In fact, I need to use a different calendar, my real calendar, in order to do that. But I'll just create a new Skype meeting. Now, when I press that, it automatically inserts all of my meeting join information straight into the Outlook email. And so if I'm crafting this, this meeting, I can say, hello, please attend, or I'll cry. Thanksies. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to add some people here onto the call. So I'll add my colleague Sarah, my colleague Josh. And I'm going to label my meeting totally real meeting. If I could even spell. They're actually going to receive this and wonder what on earth I am doing this morning. Now, I'm going to schedule this. We're here on the Pacific Coast, so 12 p.m. right at lunchtime. I want to monopolize their entire lunchtime, so I'll book it for a full hour. I can still use my signature here, even though I'm creating this invite, so I'll just go plop, go branded. So there's my fancy new signature that I like. And I still have my Skype meeting join information. Okay, now I'm ready to send this off and send this meeting. There's a couple other things I do want to show you, but I need to send it first. So Sarah and Josh are in for a surprise. Send, done. All right, so now I have this on my calendar for all of lunch. If I right click on it, I have some additional options. Let's say, you know what, I'm, getting my hair done or something, I can mark this as a private event. So that means even though I have delegates and people who are able to see my calendar, they won't be able to see that appointment. More on that in a moment. I could also choose, how do I want this to show? You know, there's status now across Skype for Business and in your email. So I can actually say, you know what, this, I don't want it to be just busy. I'm actually not even going to be here for this meeting. It's that important. So I'll mark it as out of office. And notice it now has this nice kind of solid purple bar there on the side. I could also categorize it. So I've created, for the work that I do, a whole bunch of different categories. So this is a really important meeting, so I'll just use this red important flag. So that way, when I go into my month view, everything just looks colorful and interesting, and you can see I actually did have a real haircut at some point, all of it right there on the calendar. Okay, so I have my meeting. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up. Notice now that it's sent, it actually gives me an instant button to join the Skype meeting, and I can also customize meeting options. So if I don't want people instant messaging in the background, I can do that. If I want everyone to be muted to hear only me, I can do that as well. Announce when people enter or leave. Do not do that. It is very annoying. And so I can really just customize my meeting how I like. But perhaps my favorite feature here in integration with the new Outlook is this big, beautiful button, Meeting Notes. I don't know how many of you use OneNote for your note-taking. But if you do, this feature is a miracle. Let me show it to you, because I think you might want to use OneNote for notes after this, at least for your meetings. We've deeply integrated the two. So I'm about to join this meeting. I want to take notes on it. I click Meeting Notes. Outlook gives me the option. Do you want to share your notes with this meeting, or do you want to take notes on your own? It's giving me this choice because I'm the one who created the meeting. So if you're attending a meeting, you can still use this feature. You just won't be able to share notes with the meeting. Because if I push share with the meeting, it'll actually add it right here next to where it says join Skype meeting. It'll say see meeting notes. So it's all integrated and nice. But for now, I'm just going to take notes on my own. Now it's asking, okay, great. Where do you want to put these notes? So I have an oh so convenient shared meeting notes folder and a meeting notes section. So I'll go ahead and choose that where I'd like to place it. And so I press OK. Now it's going to take me over to OneNote into my shared meeting notes. Now look at what has happened. The page is labeled Totally Real Meeting. That's the subject of the meeting. It tells me the date and the time, the location the meeting took place. Here's the invitation message, please attend or I'll cry, including my signature and the Skype meeting information. It also has any attachments that have been added to the meeting. It shows me the participants to the meeting, and yes, when I hover over them, I get that nice little contact card coming in from Outlook. And I can see who attended, and then, by the way, they will have a nifty little check mark if they actually attended the meeting. So I'll be able to see, even retroactively, who was there. It even goes so far as to give me the heading of notes, so that I can then begin taking my totally real notes on this meeting right there in between. Now, why this is so powerful is that this links back to that Outlook item. So a year goes by, and I'm looking through my notes, and I see, oh goodness, what was this about? I know we were talking, I think I need to follow up with everyone. So I just say link to Outlook item, click here. I click that. It takes me to that exact meeting on my Outlook calendar. And yes, that does work vice versa. So if I pull up on my massive Outlook calendar and say, goodness, this meeting from last week, did we cover this in that meeting? I simply open up the meeting and then press meeting notes and then take notes on my own. And it takes me right back to that page where I can see all the notes that I took right inside of OneNote. So it's a really nice, very powerful integration that, frankly, for me, transforms the way that I take notes on meetings. In my real meeting notes area, I just have a sea of my meetings with their subject lines organized by topic and program that I'm working on, and it just makes sense. All right, now that's a little bit about the very specific meeting. You'll notice there's some other kind of interesting things here off to the side. I won't go too heavily into them, but we have some, Microsoft has some very exciting integrations, including one with Uber. So if I have a location put into my location line that is an address, I can simply press ride reminder, and it can pre-book my Uber for me to pick me up at the office at the time that is specified in the meeting prior, given the current traffic conditions. It's really quite neat. If I want to do meet at Starbucks, I will insert the location of the nearest Starbucks in the location field. I can even send someone a gift, a $5 gift card to Starbucks directly from the Outlook interface with a click of a button. So I actually use this quite frequently for all of the clients that I work with. I'll send them, a little happy birthday $5 card to make their day. So it's really quite nice. All right, now I want to stay on this thread of the location real fast, because I do have the option to choose and have a meeting at a location. So I'm actually going to use my Microsoft email now. So I'm pulling in a third calendar. And I'll create a new meeting. I'll invite some attendees. There we go. This is the second totally real meeting of the day. And for some reason, I cannot spell the word totally today. All right, perfect. Now I'm going to set this for 1 because I don't want it to conflict with my first meeting. And now I'll put in, this is at a far away office. All right, perfect. So this isn't going to be a Skype meeting. This one is actually going to be in person. And so in order to see the availability of not just Josh, but also all the different spaces, the rooms that I'm looking to book for this meeting, I'm going to switch from appointment view to scheduling assistant right here up at the top. Now this is going to show me every person's calendar, and as you can see, Josh and I don't have a lot going on today. So we should have plenty of time. Now over here, I'm going to maximize this view. You'll see it says, and I'll make this a little bit larger, it says show a room list. Now this is organized through your Office 365 or through your Exchange. You are aware that there's some conference rooms. This is how you typically book it. I just select from this drop down, and then here is every single Microsoft Office in the world. And so let's go to Puget Sound, Building 31. And so now it calculates and pulls in the Exchange accounts for every single one of the conference rooms and bookable resources inside of Microsoft Building 31. Now they start populating. It does take a bit of a moment for that to come in as it pulls down. Apparently there's a lot of rooms in Building 31. I maybe should have chosen another one. Let's see. It's still checking, but you see there's the list of rooms there on the side. Okay, beautiful. So now I'm able to see, okay, here's all of the bookable conference rooms. Looks like I have, 2 options, this room here. So I'll select that room. Perfect. And then go back to my appointment. And so that will actually, and I don't know why it's putting in the email address, it should actually have the name of the room. That'll put in the name of the room here for me automatically under location, so that I'm able to add that in. And then all I need to do is hit send. And then that will book that conference room. Now, I'm not actually going to do that right now because I don't want to take a real conference room off the market, but you get the idea. And so that's how I can see those conference rooms kind of built right in. All right. Coming back to the main kind of calendar view, I want to talk a little bit about permissions. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can share your calendar with a team, but it's not immediately obvious. So right here, I have a good number of employees that report to me. I can see each of their calendars listed underneath, under team. You'll also see team and your manager up here as well. And so you can select them, but sometimes that available information, here's Josh, who I'm picking on today. Notice it's just busy, busy, tentative, busy. I don't really see any rich information. So I'd like to see that from Josh. So what I want to do is I want to share my calendar with him and get that level of detail. So there is a nice big pretty button for it. I just push share calendar. I send it to Josh. It gives me the option to choose how much he's able to see. So availability only is what we currently have. I want to have a nice intimate working relationship with this person, so I'm going to select full details. And then if I'm going to share full details, I kind of want full details in return. So I can say request permission to view the recipient's calendar. So I select that. And now notice it changes from sharing invitation to sharing request in the subject line. I could write a message, but I don't want to. So I'm just going to hit send. And then Outlook confirms, are you sure you want to let him see everything on your calendar? Yes, I am. And so then it prepares the sharing message and it sends it. And I can tell that it sent it through the sent items in Outlook. You'll be able to see it there. And then he'll receive that email message that lets him open my calendar. In order to have that sharing, oh goodness, permissions level, apologies. I will choose limited details. I'm not allowed to share my full details. So, or maybe it's just being mean, but that is how you do it, and that is the process. Now, there is a way to even get more specific with it. And if you want to just instruct someone to just grant it to you without going through this process, you can. There's this nice little button that says calendar permissions. I'm going to click on that. And here I can see everyone who I've given permission to access my calendar. And I can see also that Josh is not one of them. So I'm going to press add. And then I'll look through my global address list. There's Josh, add, OK. So now I can choose what level of read permissions should he have. Just my free and busy time? Or how about the subject and location? Or you know what? I want full details. He can have that. And notice my permission level changes to reviewer. Now, if I have an admin, for example, which I do, her name is Paige. And so I can click on Paige right here. Now, Paige, she has access to full details of my calendar. She can delete anything off of my calendar because I've allowed her to. But if I want to revoke that, I can say none, or I can have it say own, which means she can delete the appointments that she adds to my calendar, but not the ones that I added myself. Here's also write, so I can allow her to create items. Create subfolders on a calendar means create a subcalendar. We don't need to do that, so we leave that unchecked. And so she's also, of course, able to see the calendar, but not the owner of the calendar. So I can select that level of permission too. And you notice this is customized. It says editor right here as permission level. So I can set that for her. Now, Josh is just a colleague of mine, so he doesn't need to be able to control my calendar, but I do want him to be able to see it. So now all I do is I press apply. And now I can see Josh, permissions reviewer, good to go. And I press OK. Now he can do the same thing for me. And then now we've created that sharing relationship without having to send that email like I was doing earlier. It's just automatically granted. And I'm able to see it. And so that makes it really nice. All right. Couple of other quick information because we're running up on our time. I want to make sure we share some of these fun tips. I'm going to go back. Whoa, hello. I'm going to go back to my inbox. By the way, if this ever happens to you, that's the reading pane missing. So I'm going to add that back. Perfect. Now from here, let's say you want to switch computers or you want to import or export your contacts. There is a powerful method to do that. We're so used to everything being on the cloud, but sometimes you want to just perform a backup and preserve your inbox in its full state. So I'm going to click File. From here, it gives me a levy of different options, but under Open and Export, you'll see an Import-Export button. So from here, I can select this. It's somewhat of an old dialog, but it's an oldie but a goodie. It's a nice thing. I can choose to import different things, import from program or file. I'm going to select Export to a file and push Next. Now, I could choose a CSV file, which is a popular file for contacts, or I can choose just an Outlook data file. Let's say I wanted to perform a full backup, so I'm going to select Outlook data file. From here, notice here's my Karen Burns inbox, and I have all of these different folders. So I can now select down to the folder level which folder I want to export as a part of that PST file. So I'll come in here and I'll say, oh, you know what? The contacts. I only want to export my contacts and include the subfolders of the contacts. I could even filter it. I can add in searching for the words and filter just those if I wanted. So it can get very granular. So I'm going to export contacts and push Next. Now, where do I want that file to be saved? So I'll select, you know what? My desktop. That's easy enough. Backup.pst. Perfect. And then this is if I'm overwriting a file. Do you want to allow duplicates to be created? This doesn't matter, so I'm going to leave that blank. Now, when I push finish, it does give me the option. This is basically, I can export my entire email inbox, every email I've ever sent and received. So it's important that it's protected. So I can add an optional password to that export. So I will skip that for now. And I just simply press OK. And then Outlook performs that. Now, I think that there's so few contacts that kind of just happened in the background, but keep in mind, if you were exporting your entire email inbox, you would see a loading bar, and it would take a second. All right, now I'm going to go back to my desktop here, and you'll see my backup.pst file, that Outlook data file. It's only 2 megabytes large. When I click and open this file, that's going to open. I need to open it from Outlook. It will instruct me I need to open it from Outlook. So I can then add that under account settings. So here's how you'd add it back. I can go right here, account settings. Here's all of my different email accounts. I can go under data files and then add. And then this is having me navigate to where is a data file. Oh, here's one, this backup data file. So I press OK. It comes in as Outlook data file. How creative. I can rename that too. So I can say, this is my contacts backup. There we go. Apply. There, contacts backup. Notice what happened over here. There it is. It looks just like another email account because it's an Outlook data file. So I'm done with this. Here's contacts backup. I pull down. There's nothing here in this email view, but if I jump over to my contacts list, notice it says contacts - contacts backup. So here is all of the Karen's backup contacts, and you see they are pulling in purely from that Outlook data file. If I go to Karen's real account, it should be identical, and it is. The same people. So this just allows me to back it up and redo it if I need to. Now, you're not going to want to operate, let's say Karen's changing email accounts, changing companies, what have you. I can have a select all, just click on one and Control A, and then I can move all of these contacts to my new email account, whatever I'd like. I will not do that. I will leave them right where they are. Perfect. And once I'm done with that contacts backup, I don't want it taking up room on my Outlook view anymore. So I can just right click on it and say close contacts backup. And then it's gone. And if I want to be doubly sure, I can go here over to account settings and then data files, and notice contacts backup, that Outlook PST file is no longer present. I know this is a little bit more advanced, and frankly, you may only use this once in your career, but it is still a nice way that you can import and export different data and different informations. Last thing I want to leave you with here is this account information by pressing File. This allows you to customize the most beautiful and most glorious thing of all, an out-of-office reply. I can customize that for each of my different accounts. Now, for me, with what I work with, my colleagues usually generally know when I'm away. So a little known thing, and I actually just learned this the other day, the reason that I'm bringing this up, is that I push send automatic replies. If you leave inside my organization blank, but then customize a nice little message for outside my organization, Outlook will say, hey, you didn't enter one for inside, but that's okay. And then what will happen is when people in my company email me, they're not going to be overburdened by continuing to receive my out-of-office reply over and over again. It'll only send my out-of-office to people who are not part of my organization. So it makes it really nice and easy. Okay, so I have all of this in. I think we've covered most everything. Here in our last 15 minutes, I want to go on a journey with you all, look through all of the questions that you've asked. And then if you have any questions, now is the time to input them. If you have things that you would like to see or questions regarding Outlook, I will do my darndest to answer all of them. So let's take a look at some of the questions that were asked and that we may have answered. Okay, so the very first question from Gail. When I use attach file, the drop-down list disappears before I can click on the file name. So I have to try really quickly to click on it before it disappears, and sometimes click on the wrong thing because I'm doing a Hail Mary. Why is it disappearing? That is a great question. And I saw, Gail, that you followed up and said you are using Outlook 2016. that is not usual. What should happen when you are using that attached file dropdown? It should stay there. And if it's disappearing, it could be something at issue with your Office installation. Now, there is a way to kind of do a nice in-place repair of your Office installation by going to Settings. In here, you may see Apps as its own area, or it may be a subset area, but from here you could find Office, Microsoft Office 365, and then I can select Modify. Now from here, notice instead of uninstall, it actually is showing me how you would like to repair your Office programs. I recommend, though it takes longer, online repair, because what that does is it's going to reach out to Microsoft servers and pull down all the latest fixes and updates for Office. And basically what it does is it reinstalls the entire Office suite without losing your settings and customization. So Outlook and everything will behave exactly as you expect. All the programs will work as you expect, but in the back end, Office is actually fully reinstalling itself. So that's kind of a nice way that that can be resolved. And actually most issues that I've seen with Office can be resolved in that way. If you're having a hard time finding this area, you could simply open up your Start menu and type the word Apps, and that will take you to the Add or Remove Programs area. I know it's misleading because we aren't technically adding or removing a program, but that is where that's best done. The next question, oh no, there is some static. I hope we are not still having that static, and I hope you're all able to hear me okay. And then Audra says, will this webinar be available for review after we are offline? We're streaming this video live, so you definitely will. Thank you, Stuart, for answering that. Some of the other questions that are still open, Audra says, when I delete the email at the top level of my conversations, does it delete all the linked messages as well? That is a very good question, Audra. So let me demonstrate this. So here I am, here's that hiking trip. Remember, I could ignore it, but if I don't want to, as I select the individual emails inside, if I press delete here, it will delete that specific email. But when I click on this header right here that has all the different people's names, notice my reading pane is now completely empty. This is because I've selected a conversation. So when I press delete, Outlook warns me. It says delete applies to all items in this folder that are part of the conversation. Notice it says in this folder. So it's not deleting my sent replies, which are preserved in sent items, but it will delete everything here as a part of this folder when I press delete selected messages. All right, let me see here. Search folders sounds like what I use rules for, Fred says, and I agree, Fred. My rules generally move specific emails based on certain criteria to specific folders. Are search folders a better option? Can you identify the benefits of each option? That is a good call out. So the rules option generally is to, it's done at the Office 365 level, and it routes things based on criteria that you can set in rules. The reason why I like a search folder is because beyond just, and I know this does look very familiar to the rules settings, beyond just this, I can actually create folders based on categorized mail, which is not something that you can do just through a rule, at least not as I last remember it. And then I could also categorize it or search it with mail with specific words. So if I wanted to say Contoso, actually, hold on, I'm gonna type it in here. Add, and then okay. And it's searching for mail here in Karen. I'm creating a new one. I press OK. And then notice search folders containing Contoso. And so here is every single email that I have that contains the word Contoso. It's useful for me as a search folder because it just allows for greater flexibility. These things are done through Outlook because it's basically a very powerful Outlook search. It's not done on the server level. And so Outlook would need to be running for this search folder to happen. So a rule is better in that it does run on your server. So your phone is going to automatically apply those rules, move things to the correct folders. This one happens when you're at your desk or on your amazingly mobile Surface Pro. And it will work in Outlook there. Excellent question. All right. Fred also asked, using OneNote, what if you want to use a notebook that does not exist yet? Do you have to use an existing notebook and then transfer later? Also, what if notebook exists, but it's not listed in the window that pops up? Any notebook that you have customized through OneNote should be in that pop-up list. So I actually, if I press shared meeting notes, here's all my different notebooks that were available to me. If you want to put it in one that you haven't yet opened on this computer, you could select open other notebooks. And then here's my kind of list of recently used notebooks. So from here, I'll open, let's just say this Power of the Pen. I'm going to open up that notebook. Now under my shared meeting notes, here it is. It comes in. It's automatically assigned the gray color. I can change that if I want. Then here's all of my different notes on the Power of the Pen. Let me kind of clip this down. There we go. So now when I go back to my Outlook meeting and I find something on my calendar, and I'll just kind of create yet another meeting, and I push meeting notes, take notes on my own. Here's the box, and now Power of the Pen shows. So it will always show what has been set up in Outlook 2016. Now, here's an important distinction. Microsoft decided to confuse everyone by having two different OneNote apps. So if I go into my Start menu, notice there's OneNote, and then there's OneNote 2016. At this time, I recommend OneNote 2016 because it's the most feature-complete version of OneNote, and it's also the one that directly integrates with Outlook. They are continually improving the OneNote Modern app, is what we call it. That gets better and better, and a lot of this integration is coming. But for now, OneNote 2016 has most all the features that you're going to want. So I recommend using this one as a quick little call out there. All right, perfect. Next question asked by Matthew. How do you get the cool photo instead of user initials on email threads? Can it be done without using a Microsoft account? Good question, Matthew, and yes, it can. This is powered by Office 365. And so let me go back and you can kind of see. Here's Julian Isla, right? And he has his nice little picture coming in. This pulls from the global address list. So if I pull in address book, here's Karen's address book, and I can choose, you know, Ann Weiler. I open her up, and there's her picture, organization, it all pulls in. So how can this be configured? How can you put your smiling face on all the emails that you send out to your colleagues? This is done through Office 365 on the Office 365 portal. So when I log in, I'm just going to go to my Office 365 login page. Great. Now I'm an administrator, so this is not the view that the most users would see when they log in, but you just press your name up at the top corner, and then you can select My Profile. And from here, I can see all of my files I've recently accessed because it's synchronized to the cloud. I can see my colleagues and what they're working on. Discover contacts, my organization, direct reports, everyone who's working here. And then right here, I can select my picture. And so that's all done online through Office 365. Now, if you don't want to remember those steps to get there, if you go into Outlook, under File, here's Karen, here's her picture, there's Change. So you can just press this. Now, this is going to take me to that pretty much exact same place. It's another way that I can input it, but here it's allowing me to update. Here, let me dismiss this meeting. There you go. Update my photo, upload a photo, and customize it. So that can be also very easily done through Outlook, just by going File and then Change. All right. Sharon says, when using meeting notes, do they only live in Outlook or can they be filed in my documents? Oh, good question, Shannon. And there's so many good things that you can do with those meeting notes when we're done. So let me pull back up that same meeting. I'm going to press meeting notes, take notes on my own. Here's exactly those notes we took earlier. My favorite thing to do with these, because let's face it, a lot of the times after the meeting, you send an email wrap up. So I can just push all at once this email page button. All of my ink from my Surface Pen, all of my notes, they all get inputted directly into the body of the email. And then I also have a link to the live meeting notes right here because I have my OneNote notebook stored in the cloud. Now, if you don't want to have things stored in the cloud, that's okay. This can be sent as an email, nice and easy. But it's also worth noting that at any time, anything in OneNote can be created and stored as a Word document. How I do that, I just press File in OneNote and then Export. I'm going to choose my current page where my notes live and select a Word document and then export. And it's going to ask me where I want to save that Microsoft Word document, so you could store it in your documents folder if that's what you prefer. OneNote files and OneNote notebooks are not like a Word document. They're always saved, they're always live. And if you open a .one file, notice when I did export, it gave me this option, OneNote section file. That doesn't create a document that I can then edit and then save. This actually prompts me to import that into my notebook again. So that is really great and useful if you're wanting to share like a template of a page or a section or a notebook with someone else so they can pre-populate their fresh OneNote notebook. That's useful. But frankly, I'd always recommend selecting Word document if you're going to export it. But again, the easiest way is just email Paige, and then you're good to go. Audra asks, is there a difference in behavior of Outlook when using physical Office versus Office 365? Yes and no, Audra. There is a couple of things that I've shown you that are part of Office 365, some that are not, and it's kind of a tricky question, so let me unpack it. The things that, what powers Outlook in my example is Office 365. These pictures coming in, the integration with my Skype for Business and with OneNote, and that ability to put things on the cloud instantly. All of those are features of the expanded Office 365. But most of those things you could also have with an on-premises deployment or physical office copy or a server that you have. It just needs to be set up correctly. And that is where our folks at Apex are able to greatly help you. They can customize either a cloud solution for you, or we can also make sure that your physical setup and your server is set up properly so that all these features work well, even though you may not want or go to Office 365 quite yet. So that's where I'd say reach out to us and we'll make sure that your organization is set up exactly as it needs to be. Next question here, Matthew Webster, he asks, I've marked a conversation to ignore and now realize that I do want to see these again. How can I unspam the conversation thread? Okay, so when I right-click on this thread, give me the thread, thank you. I'll select ignore. The selected conversations will all be moved to the deleted items folder. So when I press ignore, it puts it into there. So deleted items, based on your policies, you can bring them back from the dead. They should show here listed. So there isn't really a formalized process to reinstate them, at least not that I remember. But let me just double check that because now I'm not so certain. So I'm going to click on this, right click, ignore, yes, ignore it. All right, and then I go to deleted items. Wow, a lot of hiking trip conversation. So right click, yeah, see how ignore is, looks like it's selected. Let me turn on conversation view. There we go. Select the whole thing, right click it, and then uncheck ignore. And then now it says, do you want to stop ignoring this conversation and move it back to the inbox? Okay, I do, stop ignoring. And then now I go back to the inbox and the hiking trip is back. All right. Audra asks, where can I find what might be hanging in OneNote? What might be hanging in OneNote? I don't know if I'm entirely certain if you're referring to OneNote or if you're referring to Outlook. But if you're looking for things that you've opened, it's just good to keep in mind that all of the Office products now keep track of the different things that you've opened across all the different SharePoint sites and OneDrives and things that you've used. So you can pull them all up here from the file screen. And then beyond that, I'm sorry, I don't know if I understand the question enough to answer it. It looks like I actually don't have any more questions typed into the Q&A box, which does sort of bring us back to the end of our time together and the end of our day. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and swap this back. There we go. And spending this hour of your day. We always want to make sure that all of our customers have the support that they need and that their systems are set up as best as possible. Working with Apex does ensure that you are always set up, your organization is ready to go and take full advantage of all these features. So if you're interested in learning more, please do reach out to us. And with that said, I'll turn it back over to George.
Great. Thanks so much, Jared. That was fantastic. Even I learned some great tips today. And if anybody has other follow-on questions, you can send them to us at info@apex.com. Gail, if you still have trouble getting that feature, that drop-down box to stick, we can definitely help you out with that as well once you've tried that repair. And we will be recording this and posting this to our website and our YouTube page, so give us a couple of days to do that. We'll probably send you an email if you attended with that link so you can review this or share it with others in your organization. And as I mentioned earlier today, this is the beginning of a monthly productivity webinar series. So hopefully you found this valuable. Our next one will be getting the most out of Microsoft Word. That's going to be on November 16th. 10 o'clock, and generally these are going to be the third Thursday of every month. If you want to block that off on your calendar, we're going to have some ongoing webinars here that'll help you guys out. So if that's all we have, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Thanks to Jared so much for coming in and helping us today, and thanks for everybody attending. Look forward to talking to you in the future. Take care.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.